people.
Yeah, I've started the recording.
Please start.
Can I start now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Is the screen visible?
Yes, perfectly. You can.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. I welcome all the students and faculty of IGNOU for this presentation of significance of socio-cultural belief systems in achievement of sustainable development. So basically this chapter and this unit gives you a perspective about how socio-culture belief systems are important in the study of environment and environment sciences. And I'll tell you how these belief systems can help you in achievement of sustainable development. And now we all of us know, as per like we have discussed already in previous presentations, what is sustainable development and how the principles of sustainable development help us to achieve a balanced approach for development as well as environment conservation. So how can we utilize socio-cultural belief systems in achievement of sustainable development, that we are going to study. But before, and I'll be giving you linkages regarding the same for after every slide that I show. So outline of the presentation is we will be discussing introduction, objectives, like introduction I have already given you, then objectives, nature as nature and nature as human. How our social belief systems treat nature as nature and how nature is also treated as human. Then earth and sky symbols, then eco-philosophy of the West, eco-cosmology, significance of these concepts of sustainable development. That is the most important part of this presentation.
Reena, I have a request. If you kindly, make me host again so that whoever enter, I can handle from there. Okay.
Okay. Actually, I just recorded. I haven't changed the host. You just try. I think you must be still the host. Has it served the purpose? Shall I continue with the presentation?
Yes, please continue with the presentation. Yeah.
Okay. So basic objectives of this unit is to determine what is the nature and why there was cultural dichotomy, and explain the eco-philosophy of the West, and to illustrate the concept of eco-cosmology, and what were the beliefs which were held by various societies and how they have affected ecological relationships, and they regulate the process of sustainability. And then practical and on-field applications of the concepts and tools to utilize socio-cultural belief systems to attain sustainable development. So all this will be discussed today. So what makes our human brain so unique? So in my presentation, a few of the slides are all basic slides and you are already aware of the concepts. So basically we need to integrate all the knowledge we already have and all the information about our socio-cultural belief systems with the process of sustainable development and how we can integrate those concepts in various applications of sustainable development. So human brain is unique because it has a capability to adapt to its environment very creatively. And in contrast to other animals and other species, human societies are not genetically connected to form. They are not, this information about socio-cultural belief system is not coded in their genes, but it is adapted to the process of conscious association. So people consciously associate with a group of people, and a person consciously associates with a group with the cultural belief system to adapt those belief systems in his lifestyle, in his attitude, in his perspective towards professional, personal, as well as other areas of his life. So and these belief systems form a long-term formation through our symbolic meanings, and we communicate, we do symbolism through language. So that is what makes human brain so unique as compared to other species. There is a community formation, there is a different kind of community system in other species as well, but in human brain this is done very creatively and non-genetically. So what is a culture? So culture is nothing but when there are many different symbolic beliefs, and when they are formed, believed, and exercised continuously and regularly through our society and through people in the society, it develops a kind of culture. So it can be a corporate culture, it can be a culture, a family culture, it can be a community culture, it can be a national culture. So many times we say these kind of dresses have been adopted from Western lifestyles. If I wear a Western dress, that is said to be adopted from Western lifestyle. If I wear a sari, it is said that you have taken a Indian culture. You you are wearing a dress of Indian culture. So culture is not just one aspect of our lives, right? It is formed by different kind of beliefs, different kind of systems, and when it is taken up regularly, it develops a kind of culture, and it is also used as a tool of adaptation, and it is used across the globe to occupy all possible ecological niches, and it creates a kind of own environment. We can in the process of cognition, you can identify yourself with that environment. Okay, so basically this philosophy of Wittgenstein philosopher was just that we do not see things what they are actually. We see, yes.
Excuse me, Reena. Yeah, slide is not in full screen and it is not moving. आप full screen में डाल दीजिए.
Okay, okay, okay.
Full screen में, in presentation mode में. पहले थे शुरुआत में थे.
पहले थी.
हाँ, हाँ.
Okay. अभी आई?
Yes, it is perfectly okay now.
Okay, okay, good. So culture is basically a combination and amalgamation of art, drama, food, faith, religion, behavior, rituals, customs, language, beliefs, attitudes. Okay, so this all together makes it, all these ingredients make a recipe of culture. So if any of these ingredients is taken out, then culture will not be a complete bouquet of various kind of perspectives which it gives to the which it gives to a society. So it has to be a combination of all these ingredients, and when it combines in different types, in different formations, in different systems, in different kind of societies, it creates an ecological niche for a particular kind of community because of its culture. Okay, so now if it is having all these ingredients, how can we integrate this in sustainable development? So if we have to see from sustainable development point of view, you have to create an impact on attitude. Okay, you have to create an impact on beliefs. You have to create an impact through language. You have to integrate customs with the practices for sustainable development. You have to integrate rituals to incorporate the rituals in your sustainable development strategy. So of all these ingredients are in tandem with what you are planning to do for the activities of sustainable development, it will become much easier for you. So socio-cultural belief systems, they can also create a setback. We will discuss few examples for sustainable development. But if you have complete information and knowledge how these things are impacting each other, then definitely you can do something and design your project to combat those setbacks which you can encounter during your project activities. So the study of culture is very important from that point of view. So what is eco-philosophy? Now, eco-philosophy is Western system of dichotomous thinking, which differentiates nature and society. Okay, so in India, nature and society have not been seen as a different entities. They have been taken up as a common entity. Okay, they have environment and our human beings are taken as one entity. But in eco-philosophy, Western system of dichotomous thinking, they are thinking on dualistic philosophy of nature and culture. So dualistic philosophy is rooted in Western school of thought, basically. So Judeo-Christian tradition privileged humans above nature. Then Sherry Ortner in 1974, she was an American feminist and anthropologist who equated the universal subordination of women to the universal subordination of nature. Then McCormack in 1980 pointed out that not only nature was seen as a subordinate in non-Western cultures, but dichotomy itself did not exist in many worldviews. So McCormack has a different point of view that originally Western school of thought was not based on dichotomy. Okay, so if we see how nature has been represented in many ancient religions of the world, Indian, Persian, Greek, Roman, Inca, Peru, and Egyptian. So you can see through this table, I have identified what were the different kind of civilizations, like Zeus in Greek and Roman mythology. They compared king of heavens with forces of thunder, lightning, and rain. So again, in Varuna and Mitra, the god of heavens, along with his partner, were considered in the ancient Vedic verses of India. Then in Indian civilization, the forces of nature like wind, rain, rivers, they all were considered to have, like we call Varun Devta. ठीक है, तो बारिश नहीं हो रही है तो इंद्र देवता, वरुण देवता की आप पूजा करेंगे. अभी भी there are many societies, there are many states, tribal villages in Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra, where if there is a drought for 4 to 5 continuous years, then they go for these kind of rituals to please Varun Devta and to please Indra Devta. Okay, so those belief systems are not outdated yet, and many people still have deep faith in these kind of belief systems, and it's not wrong. If we want to utilize this for the benefit of the society, and we want to integrate these belief systems for sustainable development, it will definitely enhance the possibility of achieving the designed objectives of the project. Okay, so how it ensures sustainability? So the human attributes of natural things gives human a sense of identification. Okay, so if you identify yourself with these elements of environment, it will give a better significance, a more significance to these elements of environment. So we do not need to separate these entities from environment. Okay, if there is a social belief system, then we can enhance, we can utilize that social cultural belief system to make people feel morally guilty while ravaging or exploiting them. So it has helped in conservation of natural resources for many centuries and many years in many civilizations so far. This is the latest Kali Yuga, which we call for these current times. So this is the time where people are not really concerned about the elements of environment. So we can utilize these belief systems to make them morally responsible for the resources they are utilizing, for segregating their waste, for keeping their air clean, for utilizing their resources efficiently, where it's maybe it's fuel, its power, its electricity. So it will definitely help us to make a step towards sustainable development. So in Hindu mythology also, you have many examples. Himalaya is God and Menaka is his wife. Then our celestial goddess Ganga came to earth in the form of a river to bless all human beings. And it is mythologically, it has been referred that she has come basically from hair loom of Shivji. Then the gods of Madhya Pradesh, in like I was telling you about the tribal region, I have myself visited those tribal areas, and people still use bow and arrow in those areas for hunting, not for hunting purposes, but for even plucking fruits from trees. So that this art, this skill of bow and arrow is still alive in their community. So then they still believe that the earth is their mother and do not wish to use a plug, as they say it is tearing the breast of their mother. So purposely or non-purposely, if there is a belief system which treats your earth as a mother, you will never over exploit those resources. So it will definitely help in sustainable development if people believe in have a moral guilty while ravaging or exploiting natural resources. So again, there was a study by Kelly LA regarding the seminal study of the Ganga, where she studied why Ganga is being polluted to the extent these days. So the concepts of purity and pollution with respect to Ganga have a real effect on the actual state of physical pollution of the river. Because if people are refusing to believe that it is not a river, they believe that it is a goddess who can clean itself, who can clean any living being, and who can defy any kind of pollution parameters. So that kind of approach sometimes creates a setback for sustainable development. So in such cases, you have to see what are the belief systems which you have to overcome while creating positive impacts of your project. So you have to bring change in attitude. So the purpose of studying socio-cultural belief before implementing any project activity in an area helps you first to identify those belief systems which can help you make us step upwards for creating a positive impact of the project. And then you have to also identify those kind of beliefs which can create a setback for your project activity, so that you can create a counter approach to create an impact on the attitude of the people. That sometimes socio-cultural belief systems are so deeply ingrained that you cannot altogether deny those socio-cultural belief systems, but you have to mold the behavior and attitude of the people, so that the project activities do not get hampered and the designed results of the project are obtained. Okay, so in her research in the city of Varanasi, Kelly Ellie, she studied that there is a belief system of Akyut, that is eternal power of purification of Ganga. So if I am going to believe that I may, what may soever I do, what may soever I like, what any kind of pollution I create, or any kind of effluent streams of industries or factories that is going to Ganga, it is not going to make Ganga dirty. So if that kind of belief system is there, nobody is going to take up STPs or sewage treatment plants, effluent treatment plants, or they are not going to make any bypass of the polluting streams that are going to the river, because if they feel that nothing can pollute river, then obviously they will not adopt any kind of technology. They will never go for any kind of strategy to combat environment pollution in the river. So sometimes these kind of belief systems have to be encountered very intelligently right at the designing stage of the project. So again, these are the documents of Kelly Ellie, and these are available. Like this book is available on Amazon, and you can purchase it. And some of the excerpts of the report are also available, so you can go through them deeply. I have mentioned the links in the references. Then how socio-cultural belief systems can be a tool for protection. Okay, now we have discussed this case study where socio-cultural belief systems were hampering, and in this, how nature can be viewed in terms of kinship with human beings, and what is the totemism. So human clans or kinship groups are believed to have been descending from non-human ancestors in the environment. So we have like हम सभी अवतार हैं. ओके, तो विष्णु जो लास्ट बुद्धा का अवतार हुआ था, विष्णु का 7th incarnation of God Vishnu, which is thought of mythologically. तो उसमें we have to see that how we are believed to be descending from this non-human ancestors. So we have those superpowers. If we can create disaster in the environment, then definitely we have to believe that we have superpowers to create a positive impact on the environment. And they people who have particular animal plant species for their totemic ancestor, जिसको आप कहते हैं कि भाई ये हमारा धर्म गुरु है या हमारे जो पितृ हैं, तो पितरों की पूजा जिसको हम कहते हैं. So those kind of socio-cultural beliefs help in protecting and conserving the species or object which they treat it to that they have descended from this ancestor. Then this also helps in overall maintaining biodiversity and ecological balance. And it also helps, it has proven that many at times ecological degradation is restrained when people have these kind of belief systems. And whenever they lose these kind of beliefs, their attachment, their responsibility, their ethical and moral responsibility towards their environmental elements seems to go away. Okay, so in nature, in Hinduism, so we have many ancient religions of the world where earth and sky symbols are used, and how these symbols are used in Hinduism. So there is primordial belief that humans developed, and sacredness of the earth is mostly as a mother figure, and sky is always seen as a father figure, and male god is compared with father figure and with sky. So these are some of the ancient Vedas which have and ancient times these scriptures which were there still from ancient times and ancient Vedas. They have given Prithvi, the hot female goddess, was they have this story that when Prithvi was created, it was very hot and it was cooled down by the rain sent by the god Indra. So that's why the male god is treated as a father. Okay, and then it produced the green trees and vegetation. So there are many mythological comparisons and stories are there. And in like I have worked many times in Punjab. So in Punjab, many times whenever I go for community consultations and stakeholder consultation, and whenever people seem to do not take up any project positively, so you have to teach, you have to connect them to their socio-cultural belief. Like in Guru Granth Sahib, we have Pavan Guru, Pani Pita, Mata Tat Mahat. So I always ask them whether they have read this Gurvani, whether they know this shlok. So this is the last shloka of Gurvani. So whenever you can connect those, connect socio-cultural belief with the attitude and behavior of the people, they definitely show a much faster change in their behavior towards protection of environment. Then the concept of Indian cultural landscape also refers to the complex cultural mosaic and a network of speciality of time and temporality and sacredness of nature. So again, if you see bhu in bhu bhava swaha, everyone says that shlok om bhur bhuva swaha tatsvitar vareniyam bhargo devasya dhimahi dhiyo yona prachodaya. So if you decipher each and every word and each and every sound in this shlok, every sound has a meaning. So Bhu stands for earth, and it stands for the awakened state of the body. Then it helps in, it is the consciousness, an active state of the body, and it centers your sexual organs. And in biocosmological symbol, it is it symbolizes speech. Similarly, Bhuva symbolizes atmosphere, and it is the dream state of the body. Then consciousness is imagery. So there are, if we recite all these shlokas, there is and this has been extracted from Brihannakya Upanishad. Okay, so this is not my personal interpretation. This has been extracted from Upanishad only. So this is again a pictorial representation of earth and sky symbols, like the moon, which stands in the image of Shiva. It signifies wisdom is beyond the mind, but it needs to express with a tinge of mind, and this is symbolized by the crescent moon. Again, the snake symbolizes alertness. To express this state of consciousness, a snake is shown at the Lord Shiva's neck. So again, Shiva Linga Mandala, that again shows you different kind of, like, if when the water falls to another Shiva Linga, it shows how values transfer from one community to another community. Okay. So these are some of the concepts which have been there through ages, and many civilizations have ingrained these values in their society as culture. Okay, and we can utilize these values. For example, in many international projects, whenever some World Bank or Asian Development or Japan International Cooperation Agency, these are a few funding agencies I have already worked with. So whenever we take up any international funded project, first of all, we have to identify whether there are some indigenous people in that area where we are implementing the project. And the main purpose of identifying indigenous species is because they have a very intact culture, where their values and their ethics are deeply ingrained. So any kind of project activity should not disturb their culture, should not have any negative impact on their culture. That is the purpose, to identify whether jahan bhi hum project kar rahe hain, there are any indigenous species. Then you have to sit with the people, you have to do stakeholder consultation, whether you are designing the project as per the purpose and belief and expectations of the local people or not. Okay, so for example, if I am going to start a project and then people do not feel that, for example, if there is a temple or there is a tree which they signify as a very holy tree or ancient tree, or it may be treated as a father of their village, and I am getting permission from forest department to cut that tree to construct a building. Okay, so it will create a revolt, it will hamper our project activities by the local people. Okay, so if I am aware of those socio-cultural belief systems in that area or in that village, I will try to conserve that tree, or I will make an alternative approach for the project design. I will select an alternative location or change the direction of my project in a way so that I can conserve that tree and still I can implement my project activities. So this helps in sustainable development, the development which can sustain on itself without any external force or without any external counter force. Okay. So again, religious scriptures have shown how environment conservation and protection is important. I have already stated this example of Sikhism, where Pavan Guru, Pani Pita, Mata Dharth Mahat, it teaches us that air is our Guru, water is the father, and earth is the great mother, and day and night are two nurses who look after us. Okay. Then in Buddhism also, it emphasizes that we and our environment are one and the same thing. So if I am feeling negative and I am creating a negative impact on my environment, then completely it will be a negative situation. However, if I'm conserving the environment and I'm feeling positive about the environment, then definitely I will create a positive environment. Okay. Then both nature and humanity are part and the time complete expressions of the life of the universe. So this is uh, Buddhism also teaches the same. Then Bible in Christian religion also encourages people to respect and live in harmony with the environment, and same is with Islam. Islam also teaches people to respect. So if I am going to create some kind of attitude change, if I'm going to create some kind of behavioral change and connect socio-cultural belief systems with my approach of sustainable development, definitely it will create much bigger impact, and it will help me to attain the designed results. Okay. Then agricultural practices were also governed by religious beliefs. So if I can relive all those socio-cultural belief, and I can restudy all those beliefs, and whenever I'm talking to farmers to stop stubble burning, so nowadays if you go to farmers to tell them something, they also are very commercialized. They also tell you, इसमें मैडम हमें फायदा नहीं है जो आपकी मशीनरी है, it consumes a lot of time, it involves investment in machinery also, so why should we take up that? Stubble burning करने में तो हमें it takes just few minutes. So if I'm going to tell them that this is creating air pollution, and this creates smog formation, so local people do not understand these scientific concepts, how smog is formed, how fog and smoke combines and creates smog, and how it is impacting people suffering from asthma, or the people living in NCR region or Delhi, how smog is creating those kind of air quality issues, and how it is impacting PM 2.5 or SPM or RSPM. They are not aware. But if I connect their socio-cultural belief systems with these scientific principles, and then I try to make an attitude change and introduce my technology for not going stubble burning, but for composting or for creating some fuel out of their stubble, then definitely it will be acceptable, and it can become successful. Okay, so again, as Gladwell explains in the non-Aryan Asian traditions of India preserved in the South, Tamil poetry also denotes it, that earth is a body in the form of mountains, rocks, trees. So I'm like kind of, these concepts are now repeating. So, but the main purpose of telling you these concepts is that these are ingrained in all the societies and all the cultures. Okay. So again, sacredness is there. Sacredness is often an indication of the importance of trees or animals. So if you are creating sacredness for an element of environment, so that definitely it will help you to ensure sustainability, like association of staple diet with rituals or offerings. So whenever there is Baisakhi or Pongal, so we eat some specific kind of cereal on that day. We eat some kind of jaggery along with those cereals because of the seasonal values of those fruits. So अगर आप शिवरात्रि पे आप देखेंगे बेर होता है, ठीक है, और बेर होता है, बेल का पत्ता चढ़ता है. So all kinds of offerings that are given in a particular season on a particular festival, they are again connected with the environment, because those fruits, those vegetables are locally available, so that the local economy also survives whenever those kind of belief systems are ingrained. So you are not going to eat kiwi or dragon fruit, which are exotic fruits, on that day especially. So if you are aware of what kind of socio-cultural belief systems are connected with the religion, they are not just connected with the religion, they are also connected with your practices for sustainable development, how you can promote local economy, how you can consume more of seasonal fruits and vegetables, so that there is non-exploitation of resources, because if you are eating more of exotic fruits, obviously it will be transported from somewhere outside the country or outside the state, and it will involve more of, it may be costly because of the transportation cost, but it also, it is not as healthy as the local fruit that should be eaten during that season, during that festival, on that day. Okay, so there is definitely, like, a coconut is also seen as a sign of fertility and considered auspicious. So every time you do some religious offering, you always use coconut. तो नारियल तो हमको फोड़ना ही होता है जब भी हम कुछ अच्छा शुभ काम करने जाते
Ma'am, no sound now.
No sound, but it's mic is on.
It's perfectly okay. It is
We are able to hear you.
Okay, so
We are able to hear you.
okay, thank you. So these beliefs and socio-cultural systems help us to identify what kind of sustainable practices we can take up. Okay, so if I am going to take up organic farming, I am going to tell them, like, this is a sustainable practice, but along with sustainable practice, it also connects with their socio-cultural belief system. Okay, so it will create a definite positive impact on the society as well as the stakeholders which are part of that project. So these belief systems definitely come very handy whenever you are interacting with the community, whenever you have to get acceptability from the community. Okay, so for again another example, there was a study done in Orissa which really reveals that while chemical fertilizers were used for genetically modified seeds in the fields, so the produce is designated for the market. Okay, so if they have to sell that produce commercially to the market, they will use chemical fertilizers. But if they are offering that produce to gods and they are offering that produce in rituals and self-consumption, then they are not using chemical fertilizer, then they are going for organic methods of cultivation. So these belief systems are keeping alive sustainable practices in one form or the other, though they are being impacted by commercialization, by exploitation. But deep down, these belief systems are telling them that what they have to offer to God, they cannot adulterate that offering and produce with chemical fertilizers. So we can utilize these kinds of concepts to tell them, why are you not going for complete organic farming, and why are you using excessive chemical fertilizer instead of organic fertilizers. So this kind of practices, these kind of belief systems in many different ways, in different kind of project activities. If it's a horticulture project, if you are going to go for organic farming concepts, then also you can utilize. If you are going to make some architectural energy efficient buildings, then also you can utilize. Okay. Then socio-cultural belief systems of certain indigenous and tribal communities, they are very distinct kind of socio-cultural beliefs, like in pastoral as well as coastal community people. They see the sky as and the heavenly bodies with a very reverential attitude. So in pastoral communities in the Himalayas, the sheep herders look upon the sun as mother. Okay, so they will never go for overgrazing, they will never harm their mother. So this will definitely help in sustainable practice. They will definitely stop over exploitation if you are going to tell them these belief systems. Then Bhotia sheep herders, again, they are very illiterate people. They do not have any scientific explanation about any kind of natural phenomenon, but they also know about the water cycle and how sun causes water to evaporate, and how watershed concepts can help you to, help them to recharge their aquifers. So they may not be knowing scientific language of these concepts, but they are well aware of these ecological cycles. So that knowledge, that indigenous knowledge, can be integrated with your scientific knowledge and principles to ensure sustainable development. Again, traditional fishermen of Melanesian islands, they are very seafaring people, and they could navigate with the help of heavenly bodies without the help of compasses. Okay, so they can predict tides of the weather even before the weathermen make any predictions, or any weather predictions come on radio or FM. Before that, they can predict how the tides and the weather are changing. So again, it will help then, it will help not in their protection, in the protection of the fishermen community, as well as in not over exploiting. Okay. So then there is impact of traditional knowledge on sustainable development, how traditional knowledge systems can prove the reverence of nature, and how they can help in creating a rationality rather than superstition. So that you have to create so that there is a positive impact. So about the eco-philosophy of the West, now if you see, there is a distinction between nature and culture. So in Gisli, Pelson pointed out that in medieval Europe, people still thought they are a part of nature. So originally, even Western culture used to think that they are a part of nature. And during Renaissance period, there was a marking beginning of modernity, and people started overlooking these kind of views about the monistic nature of the monistic nature of human and the culture. So from a spiritual focus, the Renaissance artists, for example, followed a very explorative methodology, and they began to depict human activities and their places in nature and history. So these kind of socio-cultural beliefs are very evident if you see the kind of paintings, the kind of depictions that were created at those times. So this is the Western naturalism, and how it developed in an historical process. So it started with antiquity, it started with animal classification, then Christianism gave man a divine origin, then how Renaissance took place, and how scientific revolution changed everything. Then there is a study of domination attitude of nature. There is Orientalist approach, there is paternalistic approach, and there is communalism approach. Okay, so how, but you have to be, you should be aware what are the different kind of approaches of domination attitude and how they are different from each other. So Orientalist approach, as the name denotes, it is very oriental, and there it was exhibited like colonial rulers, how they will utilize their colonies. So it expressed their capitalist nature, so how they can maximize profit and at the cost of devastating the environment. So it is the most environmentally degrading approach. So you should in today's time, when we are so scarce of our we have so much scarcity of our resources, then we can definitely never go for a Orientalist approach. Then paternalistic approach goes for complete protection of the resources. So the attitude that humans are in control still prevails, but in comparison to Orientalism, there is a difference. There is no, it does not gives you complete freedom of over exploiting the resources. So here you have to keep use of modern technology. You have to introduce concepts of efficiency and regulatory approach, and then you have to continue utilizing environment resources. So it is primarily an economic approach that seeks to maximize the availability of resources, so that who can afford them, then they can get uninterrupted supply. So the kind of consumerism we are facing these days, the kind of like buy one get three kind of schemes, so that is again based on this kind of protectionism approach, that we have to see economic benefits, and whosoever can afford, they can get the maximum benefit. But when you go for a sustainable development, you don't use this kind of approach. Okay, so there you have to seek minimum exploitation of resources and maximum efficient utilization of the resources. Okay. Then in communalism, we have a third type of philosophical approach where which is different from the first two, that it does not put a priority on humans. Okay, it puts a priority on environmental elements where it may be wetlands, it may be our biodiversity, it may be forests, it may be our timber plantation. So first priority is not humans, but the environment and the components. Okay, so it is highly influenced by Marxism and the theory of practice, and it does not focus itself on the individual, but on the community. So community must survive. It does not induces selfishness in people living in a community. Okay, so as we have already discussed this pastoral community of Bhotia, so they are afraid of civilizations and they feel comfortable and secure when they are in the upper reaches of the Himalayas, because their values, their ingrained socio-cultural beliefs, they can implement those kind of belief systems. Okay, so then there is emergence of communal approach. How from pastoral communities or from these kind of concepts we have gone to communal approach. So in this communal approach is basically very wild and dangerous, where you have to just utilize the resources, and it got started with the advent of industrialization in the West. Okay, so this communal approach, how it emerged and how it got stopped, you have to be aware of those concepts, so that whenever you are implementing a project activity for ensuring sustainable development, you try to defy all the principles, you defy all those aspects which were not considered while implementing communal approach, so that you can make a balanced development. Okay, so again, eco-cosmology is a term which has been coined by Elizabeth Kroll and David Parke, and this is the publication of MAKUNA tribe in Amazonian forest, and these tribes are living examples of eco-cosmology in Amazon forest. Okay, so these are the forest dwellers of the Amazon region, and which they were studied while doing study on eco-cosmology. These tribes were studied by Cas Arham, and they have studied that these tribes are not at all separated from nature. Okay, so they are having holistic cultural constructs, and they mold perception, they have informed practice, and they supply meaningful guidelines for living. So this Colombian Amazon beings are interlocked in exchange relationships of hunters and prey. So they feel that if we are hunting and if we are preying any animal, and we are utilizing even resources from the environment, even if we are vegetarian and we are using crops, so we have to give it back. Okay, so it is a cycle of karma. If we are eating someone, we will also be eaten. So if you are having these kind of deep values, you will never harm environment, you will never pollute water, you will never destroy your soil system, you will never overexploit groundwater through installing big tube wells. So these people show you the living examples and they call themselves as water people, and they have marriage relationships with the Yiba people, who are also stipulated to be descendants of the forest. So this is a totemic relationship. So if you ask me technically, this kind of relationship is called totemic, where water people and the forest people live together as a single community, and they speak same language, and they occupy continuous territories in Amazon. And they are commonly known as MAKUNA tribes. So this is again some of the images so that you can relate to what kind of tribes are these. And if you even want to see a movie, I have given a link of a movie by Wade Davis on this MAKUNA philosophy of life, and how philosophy of life explains predation as the exchange, and your death and life and regeneration of life. Those kind of principles which are also there in the Indian Vedas have been already in practice by these tribes. Okay, so they are living example of this philosophy of life, which explains predation as exchange of, and there is a cycle of death, life, and regeneration. Okay, so again, the Makuna belief that the animals, birds, and fish are all people who live in houses. So if we Indian Vedas and scriptures, they use sky and other elements of environment as human beings. Makuna philosophy also utilizes those principles, and they recognize kinship between the spirits, even the spirits, animals, and humans. Okay, so they think that these animals, the species like animals, can humans can convert any species like animals into food. Okay, and we as human beings have shamanistic powers. So these are some of the belief systems of Makuna philosophy, and how we can take up principle of sustainability at a metaphysical level. So if you are going to connect human beings, animals, and spirits, then again definitely you can take it as on a metaphysical level. So they are treating human beings, animals, and spirits on a same level, and they are also believing strongly in regeneration. So if you are going to believe in regeneration, whatever you are going doing good or bad, or whether you are going doing over exploitation of the resources, you definitely know, okay, it is going to come back to me. So you will never harm environment in any way, in it, if even if it is an animal species or plant species. Okay, so then if this principle of sustainability at metaphysical level, it can replace what one takes, and there is no essential difference in scale of values between a human and a non-human being. So all human beings and non-human beings have to have same values. Okay, so this is again cosmology as ecological analysis. So this is a very latest study, and it again shows how carrying capacity is defined in terms of conservation of protein resources such as game, fish, and certain wild fruits. So this study is again done in Tucano Indians of the Colombian Northwest Amazon. So these are some of the practical studies of socio-cultural beliefs and how those beliefs can help you in ecological balance. Okay. And again, there are some practical applications of socio-cultural belief systems. Then, for example, a researcher, Sophia, she employed these concepts. I have given links of these studies in my references. You can definitely go for further study of these concepts. Then the characteristics of applied trends, eco-philosophy, eco-theology. So these are conceptual eco-trends like we are studying today. There are many conceptual eco-trends and many belief systems which I am informing you about. So these conceptual eco-trends can be converted into philosophical counseling and spiritual counseling. Whenever you go for stakeholder consultations, especially in international projects of ADB or World Bank, you go for initial environment examination before even the project is identified for funding or loan purpose. You have to conduct a stakeholder consultation. So there, these kind of belief systems can prove a hurdle for your project, or you can utilize, if you are well aware of those belief systems, you can utilize those belief systems to create a benefit for your project instead of hurdle. So she definitely used this kind of eco-philosophy and eco-theology concept in her model, and this bibliometric study has indexes of many published papers, and which she has studied in last 45 years. Okay, so how spiritual counseling and adaptation of these concepts can help in eco counseling for community, so and can bring maximum benefit of your project activities. So these are some of the aspects of socialization for achieving sustainable development. So if you are well aware of socio-cultural beliefs, you can utilize these beliefs for family, for peers, for school, for clubs, for organizing social clubs, for creating groups of ethnic background, for creating work groups, for influencing media, for creating how to act towards the society, for influencing government, for influencing laws, policies, and for influencing religions. Okay, so values and how love for others should be created, how meaning of life should be created, and guidelines on how to live. So all these kind of socio-cultural belief systems help you to strengthen any kind of strategy for sustainable development, and at any level of your stakeholder. For example, any kind of project activity, you identify any kind of industrial project, or a project of commercial importance, or a project where environment clearance is required, whether it's a housing project, whether it's a mining project. There is no single project where people are not involved. Okay, and if people are involved, they have a socio-cultural belief system, then definitely there are two choices. You can use those belief systems, or you can deny those belief systems. If you deny, it may hamper your project, but if you are aware and you are aware of the knowledge that you can use these belief systems to increase benefits of the project, definitely you will opt for the former approach. Okay, so these are the references I have referred for the presentation. Now I would like to have any questions from any of you, any doubts.
Yes, Reena, thank you. In the meantime, you can put off the recording, then we can go ahead with discussion.
Okay.
Network is okay in my village, so from next time onward, I'm sure I will be able to use my computer, laptop. Today is the first day, that's why I was not sure that